Once upon a time in a faraway land, there lived a curious little mouse named Molly. Molly was always eager to explore the world around her, but she lived in a small hole in the wall with her family and had never ventured out of it. One day, while her family was out searching for food, Molly decided to sneak out and see what lay beyond the walls of her home. As she made her way through the grass, Molly came across a big, beautiful garden filled with all sorts of delicious fruits and vegetables. She couldn't resist the temptation and started nibbling on a carrot. Suddenly, she heard a rustling in the bushes and quickly scurried away, fearing it might be a cat. But as she looked back, she saw a group of friendly rabbits hopping out of the bushes. Excited to make some new friends, Molly introduced herself to the rabbits and they welcomed her warmly. They showed her around the garden and even let her try some of their favorite foods. Molly had never felt so happy and free before. Little did she know, her adventure was just beginning. Over the next few days, Molly visited the garden every chance she got, and each time she was greeted by her new rabbit friends. They taught her how to hop and jump like they did and showed her all sorts of fun games they played in the garden. But one day, as they were all enjoying a game of tag, a group of mischievous squirrels appeared out of nowhere and started causing trouble. They knocked over a basket of berries and started throwing them at the rabbits. Molly was scared and didn't know what to do, but then she remembered something her mother had once told her: sometimes, the smallest creatures can be the bravest. With newfound courage, Molly stood up to the squirrels and chased them away. The rabbits were grateful and impressed, and they all agreed that Molly was now one of them. From that day on, Molly felt like she belonged in the garden and had found a true home with her new friends. As the days turned into weeks, Molly and her new rabbit friends continued to explore the garden and have all sorts of fun adventures together. They had picnics, played games, and even put on a play for the other animals in the garden. But as summer began to turn into fall, Molly started to feel a sense of unease. She knew that winter was coming, and that the garden would soon be covered in snow and ice. She worried about how she and her friends would survive the cold and find enough food to eat. One day, as she was sitting by herself in a quiet corner of the garden, Molly noticed a wise old owl perched on a nearby branch. She decided to approach the owl and ask for his advice. The owl listened carefully to Molly's concerns, and then spoke in a deep, reassuring voice. "Do not worry, little one," he said. "Nature has a way of providing for those who trust in her. The cold may come, but so too will spring, and with it, new life and new adventures." Molly felt comforted by the owl's words and knew that he was right. She resolved to enjoy every moment she had with her friends in the garden, and to trust in the natural cycle of life. As the days grew colder, Molly and her rabbit friends started to prepare for winter. They gathered food and built warm burrows to keep themselves safe and comfortable. Molly also took the owl's words to heart and savored every moment she spent with her friends, knowing that their time together was precious. As the first snowflakes began to fall, Molly and her friends huddled together in their burrows, listening to the soft, peaceful sound of the snow settling on the ground outside. Molly felt a sense of contentment that she had never felt before. She knew that she had found a true home in the garden, and that her friends were like family to her. As the long winter nights stretched on, Molly and her friends shared stories, sang songs, and played games to keep themselves entertained. They even discovered a secret tunnel that led to a hidden room beneath the garden, where they found all sorts of treasures and mysteries. And through it all, Molly never forgot the lessons she had learned from the owl. She trusted in the natural cycle of life, and knew that spring would eventually come, bringing with it new life and new adventures. And indeed, as the snow began to melt and the days grew longer, signs of spring began to appear in the garden. The trees started to bud, and the flowers began to bloom, filling the air with their sweet fragrances. Molly and her friends emerged from their burrows, eager to explore the garden once again. As they ventured out, they discovered that the garden was alive with new creatures and new adventures. They made friends with a family of birds who had built a nest in a nearby tree, and even helped a lost snail find its way back to its home. Molly felt a sense of joy and wonder as she explored the garden with her friends. She knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, and that they would always have the memories of their adventures to cherish. And as she lay in her burrow at night, listening to the sounds of the garden outside, Molly felt grateful for the lessons she had learned and the friends she had made. She knew that she had found a home in the garden, and that she was exactly where she was meant to be. As the summer months arrived, the garden was transformed into a lush, vibrant paradise. The trees were heavy with fruit, and the air was thick with the buzz of bees and the chirping of crickets. Molly and her friends spent their days exploring every inch of the garden, finding new wonders and delights around every corner. They swam in the cool, clear pond, climbed to the tops of the tallest trees, and had picnics in the shade of the flowering bushes. One day, as they were lazing in the sunshine, they heard a sound that they had never heard before. It was a soft, sweet melody, like nothing they had ever heard before. They followed the sound to a grove of trees, where they found a group of fairies, dancing and singing in the dappled sunlight. Molly and her friends watched in wonder as the fairies twirled and spun, their gossamer wings shimmering in the light. The fairies noticed the rabbits and invited them to join in the dance. Molly and her friends hesitated at first, unsure if they would be able to keep up, but the fairies encouraged them, and soon they were all dancing together, lost in the magic of the moment. The fairies welcomed Molly and her friends to their world, and showed them all sorts of magical wonders they had never seen before. They introduced them to talking flowers, glowing mushrooms, and mischievous fireflies that danced in the moonlight. Molly and her friends were awestruck by the beauty of the fairy realm, and grateful for the fairies' hospitality. They spent many joyful days with the fairies, learning new dances, sharing stories, and helping with tasks around the fairy gardens. But as the days grew shorter and the nights grew colder, the fairies began to prepare for their own journey home. They explained to the rabbits that they must return to their own realm, where the changing seasons called them back. Molly and her friends were sad to see their new friends go, but they understood the cycle of life and the importance of saying goodbye. They thanked the fairies for their kindness and hospitality, and promised to remember them always. And as the fairies disappeared into the misty realm beyond, Molly felt a sense of gratitude and wonder for the many adventures and friendships she had found in the garden. She knew that there would be more challenges and joys to come, but for now, she was content to rest and reflect on all that she had experienced. As the leaves began to fall from the trees and the air grew colder, Molly and her friends knew that winter was approaching. They huddled together in their burrows, snuggling for warmth and comfort. But despite the chill in the air, Molly felt a sense of excitement and anticipation. She knew that the winter months would bring new challenges and adventures, and she was eager to see what lay ahead. One day, as she was wandering through the garden, she came across a strange, sparkling object, half buried in the snow. She carefully brushed away the snow, and gasped in amazement at what she saw. It was a magical crystal, glowing with a soft, warm light. As she held it in her paws, she felt a sense of power and wonder coursing through her. She knew that this crystal was special, and that it held the key to unlocking new mysteries and secrets in the garden. Molly showed the crystal to her friends, and they were all amazed by its beauty and power. Together, they vowed to use the crystal to explore every corner of the garden, and to unlock its many secrets and wonders. And as the first snows of winter began to fall, Molly and her friends set out on a new adventure, eager to discover what lay ahead. As the winter months passed, Molly and her friends explored every corner of the garden, uncovering new wonders and mysteries with each passing day. They braved treacherous snowdrifts, outsmarted cunning foxes, and discovered hidden paths and secret caves that they never knew existed. Through it all, they relied on the magic of the crystal, which helped guide them on their journey and protect them from harm. And as they emerged from their burrows on the first day of spring, they knew that they had accomplished something truly special. For they had not only explored the garden, but they had also forged a bond of friendship and trust that would last a lifetime. They had learned to work together, to rely on each other's strengths and talents, and to overcome even the greatest challenges with courage and determination. And as they basked in the warm, spring sun, Molly and her friends knew that they had truly found their place in the world. They had discovered a magical garden full of wonder and adventure, and they had done it together, as a team. As they looked out at the garden, they saw a whole world of possibilities stretching out before them, and they knew that they would never stop exploring, never stop learning, and never stop growing. For in this magical garden, anything was possible, and anything could happen.